It's the first actual visible practice that we've gotten here at the University of Georgia. 3 weeks into the season, we finally get to watch a Georgia practice. We got to watch 6 minutes?
6 minutes.
6 minutes of practice. And it was of the all-exciting ball security drill. So they had them in groups, and they would go from coach to coach to coach to coach. So you'd have the defensive lineman, then they'd move on. They'd come and meet with Glenn Schumann, then they'd move on to Dale McGee, and then they'd be replaced by the secondary guys, So everybody was moving around. At least on the end that I saw was the defensive end. They were doing ball security drills, and that's one out of maybe 30, 40 different sections. The one we got to see was ball security, so you don't get to see anybody really taking reps or stuff like that. I was looking for maybe some of the injured players, see if they were back. We did see a number 6 in a black jersey, which could be Jalen Kimber. He was with the secondary guys, but it could have also been somebody in a scout team jersey, Jed, because there's a lot of guys that they're like 3 different 33s.
Yeah, there was a 51 with Tate Ratledge who got hurt 2 weeks ago, not him. So.
Right, so there were a lot of different numbers out there that are not accurate. And when you're seeing them at the distance that we were, you're not allowed to take pictures, not allowed to do video. It's kind of tough to tell who that is across the way. But we did get to see practice, and my overall impression was, damn, those guys are gigantic. And that's something we've been telling people. The people that have been going to practice and talking to us, when I asked them, what are your thoughts? I'm wanting the nitty-gritty stuff. What I get is, these guys look like Alabama. These guys look like Ohio State. These guys look like Clemson. When all those scouts came, they went to Clemson first and they came to Georgia. All the scouts that were there said, you've got 30 possible draftees on this team, over the years. These are big guys, and you see that in the game. So
you do.
The overall impression for me was these guys are gigantic. There was seeing Jordan Davis running around out there doing punch drills. And I felt bad for number 32 he's supposed to mimic a running back, and here comes Jordan Davis with a punch, and kind of lifts the guy off the ground a little bit,
It's no good.
It was not good.
No good.
Give me some other thoughts that you had, or observations.
Well, kind of similar to what you just said. The defense, if offense is doing ball security, defense was doing ball non-security.
Ball done. We're doing takeaways on the defense. That's what we're watching. On your end, you got the offense, so they're doing ball security. So it's ball security from both sides. So they're trying to make sure the ball doesn't get ripped away. What did you see?
Yeah. So it's kind of like you said. The running backs, they were stepping over dummies on the ground. The coaches were kind of beating at them with little gloves or clubs or whatever it was. Yeah. And which obviously something we talked about. Jordan, they lost a fumble against UAB, I think. So
I'm just saying that there's a lot of controversy about the Kendall Milton fumble.
So it's something. It's like you said. It's something they practice every day. It's obviously a very important aspect of the game. Kirby Smart talks about turnovers, if not every day, definitely every week. So
this team's even.
Yeah.
All those turnovers we saw, they've also given the ball up a lot.
Right.
So that's
right.
If you're at 0 for the year, 3 games in, that means you're not winning the turnover battle. And I think if it had not been for maybe some of the turnovers, I think did all of South Carolina's points come off of turnovers?
I'm trying to think.
I know 10 of them did.
I'm trying to think. The Bennett interception led to a field goal. Maybe the first field goal. Maybe they came off that long pass. Yeah. Maybe that was 3.
That was 3. So
the majority of them.
Right.
Sure.
So the defense wanted a shutout, but if the offense gives the ball over pretty quickly, then that's not going to help them. So, but aside from that, let's talk about some of the injured players. Any observations you had?
Yeah, Anthony Dasher posted on the vent. He did not see Tykees. We saw a 23 on defense.
Yes, there was a 23 on defense, but
not positive.
He looked maybe a hair too tall.
Yeah.
So it might have been a scout team guy for Vandy. I don't think that was the real Tyke.
Right.
And if anything, he probably would have been in a black jersey.
Exactly, for sure. And same with Darnell Washington. Didn't see him. We did see George Pickens.
Okay, now this is probably be the headline video. We saw George Pickens at practice,
we did.
Which we've been hearing about. We've been hearing that he's there. We heard that at one of the scrimmages, he was running his tail off, like in the end zone, not with the rest of the team, but just running and running and running for a guy who's had knee surgery.
Right.
That's impressive. So you actually saw him?
We saw him. Yeah, I saw him. It was kind of not jarring, but you look and like, oh yeah, George Pickens.
He's still on the team.
He's also on the team. Yeah, you see a number 1. He was in a black jersey, of course, no contact, but he still, looks physically impressive. So you kind of forget he's on this team. He could possibly be a part of the team later in the year. No one really knows, but it was kind of. You see that
November.
Guy. Yeah, you see that guy, and you're like, oh yeah, the offense has put up the numbers they have, especially the last 2 games, without a guy that if he's healthy could have been a first round receiver, and still could, I guess.
And we also didn't see. We said we didn't see Darnell. We didn't see Tyke, but to me, if you get Darnell Washington back, I know a lot of people are like, well, you got Brock Bowers and you got John Fitzpatrick. Yeah, but you could also have Darnell Washington. That wouldn't be bad. So if you're the defense and you're thinking, we got to stop 19 because he's that freshman tight end who's leading the team in receptions. He has more receptions in 3 games than all the tight ends did all of last year.
Right.
So that's pretty impressive. And we got to stop Arian Smith, who could be back, and we got to stop Jermaine Burton and Marcus Roseby-Jackson, A.D. Mitchell, SEC Freshman of the Week.
Kearis Jackson.
Kearis Jackson's healthy, but now you got to stop a 6'7", 260-pound Darnell Washington. You can't put the same guy on him that you put on Brock Bowers.
Right.
Because his coach is saying, Kirby Smart earlier was talking about Brock Bowers, says, give me a guy that's 235 pounds and runs a 4.5 40, and I'll find something to do with him. Okay, Darnell's not that fast, but if you put a speedy guy on him, you know, he's too big for a quarterback.
Right.
You know,
Well, it's the classic matchup. Like, that's what tight ends can do to an offense.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're a coach and you see, okay, the other offense has 2 tight ends, 2 receivers on the field. We don't necessarily need to play nickel. But when your tight ends are Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers, it's just like you said, they're too fast for your normal linebacker, and you know they're big enough
too
to
big
box
for your
out
corners.
corner safety. Yeah, exactly. So the matchup nightmares that are being created now, the possibilities you can see with Darnell Washington in this offense is enough to keep defensive coordinators awake at night.
Right. So here's the thing: I don't know if we're going to get to see any more practice this week, but if we do, we are expecting to see those guys kind of get back into it. Kirby Smart said, look, they are doing weight-bearing drills and such. My only issue is, are they in shape? I know that sounds stupid because people go, well, they're in great shape, they're football players, but are they in Georgia football player shape to beat out the guys that are there? Because you're not just going to chunk them back into the rotation because they're healthy. That's not how it works. So are you healthy enough, Darnell Washington, to get out there and beat out John Fitzpatrick, beat out Brock Bowers for your spot on the field? But if he is, to me, you talk about the mismatches, he also stays in on blocks. And if you look at our Film Don't Lie series from earlier today, they shows when Brock Bowers and John Fitzpatrick stay on their blocks and the wide receivers stay on their blocks, it changes the running game at the University of Georgia. Does wonders for them. So that 5-yard run all of a sudden is a 15-yard run, it's a 20-yard run. So getting him back would be big.
Well, and we remember the Clemson game, the swing passes, the receiver screens. How many plays were there where receiver blocking
failed?
I think of the swing passes to James Cook on 3rd and 3 or whatever, and it looks like he has it, and then it gets chopped down. Well, okay, say you move, not to pick on him, but Jermaine Burton, switch out Jermaine Burton for Darnell Washington line up outside.
Yeah.
And you've got a corner or safety or whatever trying to get past him to blow up a screen instead of Jermaine Burton. It's a mismatch, blocking, passing, going out for routes, anytime you put him out there.
I want to touch on something. Go to, on the same channel, watch Kirby Smart's comments from earlier today when he was asked about tight ends and the spread, and he made a very good point about it. He said, look, lots of times the spread's not really helping tight ends more than anybody else. It's just a situation where lots of times that tight end is being featured, especially in the NFL. But you can also do that with a wide receiver. You can also do that with a running back. And I'm like, true, but the running back and the wide receiver aren't blocking like a Darnell Washington was. So getting him back would be big, and seeing Brock Bowers become a better blocker, get 3 games in, is doing wonders. Anything else from practice that we saw? Saw punch drills, strip drills.
Glenn Schumann's sweatsuit.
Always
saw that in person again.
Yeah, always.
That was good to see.
He never stopped. Yeah, it feels. Nature is healing.
Yeah, it is.
Nature is healing.
It is. I felt a return to normalcy. It felt good. It felt good.
There was a we saw a little bit of 7-on-7 as we're walking out, and they threw one pass to the kid from Prince Avenue.
Logan Johnson.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm assuming it was him. It was tough. It was tough to see at the distance we were at, and we were actually walking away.
We're looking
back over there, and they're like, "Okay, time to go, folks. Time to go." And we're like, "Ugh." But I don't know of any other 5'5" receivers.
Probably not.
So I'm pretty sure that Logan was doing it. He's just tough to catch, and we saw him doing that at Prince Avenue. So he was catching passes all the time. But you saw somebody else lined up in the offensive line. Truss.
Oh yeah, we saw the side of the field we were on, the offensive line was on the other side. We were trying to look like this. Couldn't see too good, but I did see one rep where Xavier Truss was at left tackle and Amarius Mims was at left guard. It looked like anyway, but like we said earlier, offensive line and ball security drills don't go together a ton. So we were kind of looking. I did see that one rep.
And you also have scout team guys. It could have been somebody else.
Exactly. I mean,
but
right.
A Truss and an Amarius Mims.
Right.
That is one hell of a left side there. And again, all those guys are cross training. We know that Warren Erickson is, center and guard, but he's also kind of one-handed. So maybe they give some of those other guys a chance to come in and play guard. You've seen some of those guys that came in as guard move out to tackle. Maybe like a Jamari Sawyer. It does happen, folks. So trying to think of anything else we saw. And again, it was 6 minutes. We're happy to be back, happy to actually be out there, but there was not a ton to see. So that is, I won't say it's by design, but I'm sure Kirby is not disappointed that we only got the 6 minutes and we're not able to give some of the other the lineups, as you can see. But anyway, hopefully we will get a chance to do this maybe Tuesday or Wednesday this week. I'm not going to hold our breath, but at least we did get to see them and we are back. So anyway, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button on the lower right hand side, hit subscribe and click the notification thing so that when we do go live for stuff like this, it actually lets you know and you'll see that we're up and running. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, Tuesday, for the UGA Sports Live show at noon with Coach Donnan, and then of course the Around the League on Thursday. Then this Saturday at noon we will have the watch along show with Coach Donnan and Dane Young and myself. I'll be on there. Basically just drinking Bud Light seltzers. That's all I do for the show. I don't provide any meaningful content. And of course, then the post-game show. You did a good job on the post-game show. So after it, we have the post-game overreaction show, the POS. So be sure to check out the POS after the game this Saturday. We'll talk to you later.